Hey guys, Brad Gilmore here. Want to give a big shout out to our title sponsor, Walker Texas Lawyer. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, whether that be a car, truck, motorcycle accident, or some kind of other issue, hit up Walker Texas Lawyer at 713-552-1117 or walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
Well, I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathers. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad. Good morning to you. How are you?
George Lopez joins us right now. George, how are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What lovely to talk to me, funny lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Chloe Bailey joins us. I appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Well, Gino, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. Tell me first, for people who might not know, what is Lucha Libre?
Lucha Libre is kind of this big act that we love in Mexico City. We love it because of the pageantry that comes behind it. The cage, the mask, all the high flying and the over the top. My dad was a luchador in Mexico. He wrestled for AAA, Consejo Mundial, I believe. And all the masks, is the biggest thing in Lucha Libre. You get a couple of different masks. These are some masks that my dad won. This one's a Máscara Sagrada right here. This right here is Polímero Espacial. He had a couple pretty good masks that he won and whatnot. But yeah, this is what Lucha Libre is. Sometimes they'll have matches. Masters his hair, and you either lose your mask or you either cut your hair, which I thought was always pretty cool, but yeah, man, Lucha Libre is like literally like something that we follow in Mexico, just as people follow football here.
And what is your earliest memory of Lucha Libre?
Man, I've been going to Lucha Libre shows since I was like a baby, man. I was a kid in like a locker room. I was a baby in the locker room. Literally, my dad would take me and other luchadors who would like look out after me and make sure I was doing all right and whatnot. But yeah, my earliest memory will be like like Conan. Conan being over there in AAA. There's this other lucha guy called Abismo Negro. He was pretty big, and like even Rey Mysterio, like back in the day, like seeing Rey Mysterio in Mexico, I was kind of like disbelieved seeing him over there. Now seeing him what he's at right now, it's kind of insane.
Now, your father, you mentioned, was a luchador, El Sanguinario. Talk to me about your dad and your memories of him wrestling, and what his name meant.
So basically, Sanguinario translates to bloodthirsty. So that was kind of his thing that he was going after. Like that's like the name that he was trying to make for himself. But when he worked for AAA, which is basically the WWE of Mexico, so they would give him different gimmicks. So they'll give him like another gimmick called Máscara Maligna, which basically meant like a dark mask. And then they gave him another one called La Calaca, which basically meant like, death, and that's something that, is interesting to me right now. Like kind of like a Calaca character to me was always very, very cool. It had a very like, interesting look, kind of like Parka. So I always thought it was pretty cool seeing that and kind of, I don't know, it's funny to me looking at Lucha Libre because you see how much Mexicans like love death, and how much we like, idolize all that stuff. As you see with Dia de los Muertos and a parka and all these masks and whatnot. But yeah, my dad, was kind of portraying that, kind of portraying like a Laca Máscara Maligna. And he kind of started out the same way as I did. He started very young, about around 14, 16, and kind of just pursued it, wrestling, And as a kid, I guess seeing your dad, go out there and like put on this whole like get up and then seeing people scream for him and whatnot, like to me that like impacted my whole life, since I was a kid. And now that I grew up older, I was like, oh, like this is something that I want to like portray. This is something that I want to do. I want little kids to like scream at me and whatnot. But yeah, man, growing up seeing that, I don't know, I was hooked for life.
And your dad's legacy, what does it mean to you? Because your father's obviously no longer with us, but what does his legacy mean to you?
His legacy to me, unfortunately, he passed away very, very young. He passed away at 32. Like, I feel like he still had like a lot of like he was still in his prime. He still had a lot of stuff to do. But to me, his legacy means a lot to me because I'll go out there and wrestle like people that he's wrestled and whatnot, and just hearing like the stories that other people tell me, and then people are like comparing me to him and whatnot. To me, that means a lot because like I didn't get to kind of be around him a lot and whatnot. So seeing that and seeing other luchadors kind of like compare me to him and like kind of like give me a little like anecdotes and whatnot of him. To me, that means the world because like I said, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him, but seeing all that makes me kind of like wanna even basically. I don't know. I really want to like make it somewhere so that way they'll be like, hey, who is this dad? And, that turns to a Google search and like, oh, because that was pretty good. Like, and then one night, they'll go on a whole YouTube thing of watching this wrestling matches and whatnot. Because my dad got to wrestle, like Chavo, Eddie, Ray, Jericho, all of them when they would go over there. My dad got to work and a lot, and now being in the ring with like somebody like Ray means a lot to me because I'm like, okay, my dad went through this. My dad being in the ring with like Chavo and whatnot, and then me being with him in there now means a lot because I'm like, okay, I'm following his footsteps in a way, kind of like I'm on the right path.
Do you feel like when you're out there in the ring, do you feel that you're honoring your father's legacy, but also forging your own path forward?
Definitely, yeah. Because I mean, I've always tried to do my own little thing, with being Gino and like portraying different characters like way different than he did. Uh, so that's like my like path that I might pursuing. But as of lately, I wanted to even going to Mexico a couple of months ago. I really got like a lot of inspiration being there, like seeing a lot of like the Day of the Dead stuff and like the mask all over the streets and whatnot. To me, I was like, man, like that's a part of my culture I'm not like fully like falling into. I'm just trying to be like everybody else. Well, I have this like other culture that I can use. So that's like my path right now. That's something that I'm trying to pursue. Bringing a lot of these maps, to life and giving them some type of character. Because he had a lot of stuff to work with, and I just never really, like really used it much.
And finally, you mentioned it a second ago, but if your dad was here and he was in the gorilla position waiting for you behind the scenes as you walk through the curtain, what would you want your dad to think about what you're doing?
I mean, I would just want him to think that, like, that that I'm doing like a good job at like pursuing what he was trying to do as well, and like kind of seeing that like cause I like to think I'm not like no slouch in the ring, so I'm like, hey, like I want him to like actually see that as well, see that like, hey, he actually has committed to this, and at this point, even though I've been in the locker room since I was a baby, like I'm 28 right now. I started training at 14. So basically, I've been in the wrestling, lucha libre, like half of my life, at this point. So like, I would want him to see that, like, hey, he actually, went full into this, and it's pretty good now. He's not that bad. So I wanted to see that, and then just seeing a lot of like, there's this really famous like luchador called El Santo, and I've gotten to wrestle him before, and I just remember being in the ring and seeing him come out and like do his full entrance and whatnot. I just remember like being in that ring and thinking like, oh, like my dad was like, this is crazy, like I'm literally wrestling like the Hulk Hogan of Lucha Libre. So like those little moments to me, I always, make sure to keep them in mind and know that like, oh, he will be really proud of this, like seeing in the ring right now with El Santo.
Yeah, man. Well, I definitely know that you're making him proud. You're making all of us proud. We'd love to see your success and continued success. And Gino, thank you so much, man, for taking some time.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.